Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mystic Path. Sorry, everybody. Just getting things a little... So I know where... Okay. Hello, hello. Sorry about that little getting it together there. This is the Mystic Path. This will be your new moon in Aries reading. Yes, new moon in Aries, March 21st. It is also the spring equinox that day. So there's lots of big energies happening. We're moving on that day out of Pisces season into Aries season. Okay, so I have a bunch of notes over here that I took. I meditated, researched the astrology, got some, oh my goodness. Hi, Bob. There's a box under my feet, and I did not know my cat, Watson the Mystic Cat's in it. Hi, Bubby. No wonder. Your energy is here. He will be helping. The funny thing was, I had picked out some card decks, and then as I was like meditating and getting into it, I kept getting, no, get the deck with the cats on it. And there's this deck I have, and it has cats on it. And the interesting thing about this deck is I'm pretty sure it's imbibed with our Mystic Cat's energy, because a friend of the channel sent us, I think, 3 decks as a gifts around the holidays. And he gets all excited when we get packages, obviously, because cats in boxes. And so he was like, came running when I was opening this box, and I was like, "Ooh, look, bub, we have 3 new card decks to play with." And I said to him, this is true story. I said to him, pick out which one we should use first. And he put his paw on this box, the Divine Beloved Oracle cards, okay? And when I opened it up, the first thing I saw was the back of the cards, which has 2 cats on it. And I was like, of course you picked the deck with 2 cats on it. And so earlier, one of the decks I had picked, I kept feeling like that's not the deck for today. But it was another deck that was like a gift to the channel, so I was excited to use it. And I was going to use it, right? And like twice while I was channeling messages and doing research, I kept hearing from the universe, not that deck, not that deck. And I kept hearing the deck with the cats on it, the deck with the cats on it. And so I finally put the other deck away, and I got the deck with the cats on it. And now that makes even more sense, because he is under my feet, which I did not realize. So he is contributing, his energy is contributing messages today to us with his favorite deck, apparently. Okay. Since we're talking about decks, the Divine Beloved, we're going to use that today. We're going to use the illustrated crystallary deck, the Moonology, and the Secret Woods. So, anywho, and interestingly enough, all of the backs of these decks are like, this is like a forest, right? This is like cats in a jungle, it feels like, with all the leaves. And then this is like a garden. You can see there's like bunnies and flowers and a lizard and crystals. So nature is presenting very strongly in this energy coming in for the new moon. And another interesting thing to back that up even further is I was sitting out here getting prepared, lighting the candles, connecting, all the things, asking for protection, all of that. And I had on a hoodie. and I was feeling very warm in the hoodie. And I thought, I'm going to take this hoodie off and I'm going to go in the other room because I just had a tank top on and it was white. And, you know, not to give you too much information, it's the weekend. I'm not wearing a bra. And I was like, well, if my chest ends up getting on camera, I don't like want you to be able to see through this white wife beater tank top I have on, right? So I was like, I'm just going to go grab another tank top and put it on over this. And I went into my closet and I kind of had a tank top in mind, which is what I'm wearing. It's a white tank top. It has a swan on the front. And I don't know, you probably can't see. I probably can't get it on camera, but okay, a little bit, right? Has a swan on the front. And I was having trouble finding it. It was like further back in my closet, and there was a blue and white striped tank top that was easier access. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grab this striped one and wear it. And I took it off the hanger, took it out of my closet, started to put it on. And I heard from one of my guides, no, the swan tank top. And I was like, oh, okay. So I put the striped one back, rummaged to the back of the closet, found the swan tank top, put it on. And so it's just interesting. And I thought to myself then, interesting, I wonder if any cards come out today that have to do with swans or have swans on them, right, as like the message. Actually, we're probably going to use my phone to look up a swans later. If they present again, we're going to do that. And now I'm noticing all the nature really strongly presenting itself, and which would make sense because it's the spring equinox, right? It's not just the new moon in Aries, it's a spring equinox. So nature's coming back alive from winter. The new moon is in Aries. I've mentioned that several times, which is a fire element. So we're going to use some of this fire element essential oil spray from Amanda Ellis's color therapy system she's created, which is brilliant. If you don't know who she is, she's in the UK. Look her up. And let's just get into it. I feel like we're already into it because several of the things I've already talked about, I feel like are going to be very supportive of the messages I've already channeled and the stuff that's going to come out. Also, I have this Magic Days book that I got again over the holidays. I love books. After Christmas, I always love to go to Barnes & Nobles because they're always having all kinds of sales. I got all kinds of good books this year. This was one of them. I have been in love with it thus far. It's separated by the signs. You can see those little like black lines. That's where each, see. And then that's like Virgo season and blah, blah, blah. And then it has every single day. And for the day, it has, that's just my little book. It has energy of that day and then another page for if you were born on that day. And then it tells you like what your guides are, what your planets are, what your purpose is. It's a very good book. So we're going to read from this as well. In a little bit. I just wanted to let everyone know the stuff we're using, just because people always want to know, like, how do you do the work? How do you do shadow work? Like, this is how, right? You get cards, you get books, you rely on your intuition, and then like a puzzle, you make sense of what are all these things saying to me. If a swan presents itself to me 5 days in a row, I'm eventually going to be like, okay, there is a message here from this swan, right? The universe is trying to tell me something. If it's like just a random, if it'd be different if like I owned swans, of course. But if like a swan just out of nowhere shows up in my path and I haven't like gone to a zoo or something, you know what I mean? Then that's the universe being like, look at this. Okay? Okay. So let's just get right into it. Okay? New moon in Aries. Fire energy. The Ram. Okay, let's see what the Moonology deck has to say. It's time to take action. The flame is lit. A wonderful new start beckons, and you're right on track. If there is something you want to happen in your life, now is the time. This energy is perfect for it. This is the time to really tune into your dreams. You may still have a long way to go. After all, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, but you're on your way. Determination, self-assertion, and bravery are called for. But the hot fire of Aries is driving you towards success in whatever endeavor you're asking about or you would like in your life. Don't go too fast and forget your manners. Treat people well as you charge towards your goals. You'll create much better karma for yourself. Okay? I mean, right here, Aries is the ram, right? So this energy can be a little like bulldozery, right? Like I'm going to force my will on everyone else because that's I want that to I want this to happen that badly, right? It's that intense. And I can say that because I am an Aries moon. I'm a Leo sun, Aries moon, double fire sign, okay? The fire can get wildly out of control if you don't have checks and balances in place, if you don't know yourself, if you don't have tools in your toolbox, right? So, you know, my rising sign is Scorpio, which is a water sign, and that's because the double fire needed water. Otherwise, I would spontaneously combust myself, right? And I can honestly attest, being a double fire sign, sometimes you can run yourself right into a wall and not see what's right in front of you because the energy is that intense, that powerful, that empowering, right? So the caution, there is caution. Even I channeled some. The caution the next 2 weeks, the rest of this month, is make sure you're breathing. Make sure you are being patient. Make sure you are being thoughtful and conscious about the choices you're making, the goals you're trying to attain, etc., right? Because this energy is a ram. It can ram right through to get its point across, to get what it wants to happen done. Okay? So that's just the caution. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with a little Aries moon, right? So you just have to know what you're dealing with and know how to, when it starts to get too much, how to dial it back, how to breathe, meditate, pause, lean into patience, right? Okay, we're gonna save the magic days for after I talk a little bit about the stuff I've channeled, because what I like to do is like talk about the stuff I've channeled and then pull cards and read the book to see if those things also confirm what I've channeled, right? It's kind of a fun little way to see how in tuned you are with the vibration of this energy. Okay, so, all right, let's just go, okay? Okay, so we've been in Pisces season, right? We were just talking about that. Pisces season tends to be a little wallowy, right? We've been in that now for like a month, a little over a month and a half. And listen, one of my really close friends is a Pisces. My niece is a Pisces. My aunt was a Pisces, right? I have a lot of Pisces around me. And not a thing wrong with them. They are just, they feel all the feels very deeply, right? So Pisces season can get a little emotionally exhausting because it's just like you're feeling everything and you're feeling it deeply, and your intuition is filling you with like knowledge and aha moments, right? About these feelings. And it can be a lot. And so this fire energy is going to come right in to like move us out of that like wallowy, reflective, like deeply feeling everything. It's going to shift us very quickly into action, right? It's time to take all of that, all of those feelings, all of this new information we have from ourselves, from our body, from our mind, from our psyche, from our aura, all the information our intuition has collected, and then the messages we get and the aha moments and the like, oh, maybe I could have done this differently, or maybe this is the idea that's going to carry me forward in my career. Like, all that stuff has been coming in for like the past month and a half, which has been very overwhelming for a lot of people, right? But now the fire energy is going to come in to like burn off all that water. And now we're going to want to act, right? This card says it's time to take action, right? It's a good thing. But again, we have to remember that we don't want to go too fast, too hard, because that just runs you into a wall. Again, I speak from experience here, okay? So this, okay, and this is also going to be a doubly intense time because it's not just the new moon, it's the spring equinox at the same time. So all this new spring energy is coming in, which is all the new spring equinox energy is what? About like spring cleaning, turning over a new leaf, right? Starting new things. And then you layer on top of that all this Aries energy of like, let's act. It's time to act. It's time to take all the information and all the aha moments and all the ideas and turn them into physical reality. Ground them down into new innovations, new systems, new ideas, right? New structures. We've been talking a lot on this channel about how, since the P word in 2020, March of 2020, the thing that happened, it's been all about forcing us to see, right? Forcing us to see what we've created in the world, what we're doing to the planet, what we're doing and how we treat each other. Employees in workforces are having awakenings that like, I'm not going to work myself to death and be paid nothing, right? Like, we're going through a lot in society, and there's like all of this shifting and changing happening. And I've been talking about for like 3 years now how all of this stuff has to come to our attention because you can't heal what you don't reveal, right? You can't fix systems if you don't know what all the problems are. And for the last 3 years, we've been given a front row seat as humans to what all of the problems are that we've created and all of the things we need to be doing better. Okay? Well, the good news is now we're here. It is time. This energy, this new moon on the spring equinox, it is time. This is all that action energy we've been waiting for. Now we've spent all this time, right? What was I saying earlier about Pisces season? You can zoom that out into a bigger picture as well. We've spent all this time for 3 years reflecting, observing, feeling all of it. The good, the bad, the cruelty that humans are capable of, the wonderment that humans are, capable of. It's all been jumbled up together, and it's been very overwhelming, and it's been crippling to a lot of people. But now, from this point forward, is going to be all new kind of energy that's going to be about acting, changing, taking all of the ideas and the information we've learned and grounding new structures into reality that work better for us as humans now, right? A lot of our systems in this world were set up thousands of years ago. And they just, for thousands of years, it's just like one generation after the other. You just tried to make things a little bit better, a little bit less awful. And we're at a place now where some of our stuff is super outdated. Some of the beliefs we have, some of the systems, the way we treat, we won't get political, but we could spend hours talking deeply about like the way we treat certain ethnicities and types of people in society versus how others are treated, right? And this is all just like, it just keeps going and going because it's like every generation's like, well, these problems are too big for me to fix, right? So we'll just keep going. And so what's happening now, we've ended a 100-year cycle. I've talked about this before on here. If you look at history, if you study history, there's like a 100-year cycle you can see, right? And in every 100-year cycle, there's like bad things happen, like a genocide, war, a pandemic. But then also great things happen too, right? Like we went to the moon, right? Like humanity banded together to stop the atrocities that were happening in World War II. Like every 100 years, certain things happen so that humans learn, grow, evolve, right? They come together at certain times to overcome things like civil rights, slavery. We're not going to get too deep into that. But it's now time for us to start a new cycle. We started it 3 years ago. I've talked about that before. And now part of this new cycle is like humans evolving and shifting and changing things to work better for the humans we are now today, right? And that can be uncomfortable, right? That is boundary pushing. Because to push boundaries, it makes people uncomfortable sometimes. And that's what all this energy is coming in around this new moon. So it's wonderful, but there's always that shadow side, right? You have to be careful. Don't get swept up into it. Because like I was saying earlier, you can run yourself into a wall if you don't slow down and think about your choices, think about your actions, right? Let's see. This energy, okay, we talked about that. Okay, so the good side of Aries energy is it's very passionate and competitive, right? It will highlight our desires to like take all that information we learned in Pisces season and follow our gut and be like, I'm going to follow my gut instincts and I'm going to take risks and I'm going to bet on myself and do this, right? It's a great energy for that. It's a great time right now to commit to a project or a relationship. Anything you start right now or you're working on consciously, thoughtfully, with your whole heart, and you're betting on yourself and you're taking risks, it's going to be successful. Okay? Because the energy, this Aries energy and the spring equinox on top of it is going to be this like very vibrant energy. You're going to want to feel like acting, right? You're going to want to feel like acting. You're going to want to set goals and turn them into reality. Like it's going to be like, I'm sick and tired of dreaming about it, right? Pisces energy, very dreamy, very diluted sometimes. Like, I just want to dream and stay in this fantasy, but it never becomes anything, right? Because you have to ground that into reality for it actually to come out in the physical world. So this energy in Aries is really good for taking all of those goals and dreams and grounding them in to make them a physical reality. You have to act, right? You have to set these goals and start pouring your heart into achieving them. This energy, like I said, it's going to make us want to move. It's going to make us want to make moves, take risks, bet on ourselves, jump into our passions, find new opportunities and interests. And that's all amazing. But you need to remember not to get swept up, because you can easily get swept up in it. And then all of a sudden when it's over, you're like, what happened? And what did I commit to? And what decisions did I make? Right? So You want to take a deep breath when you're feeling overwhelmed. You want to do things with strategy, okay? Action with strategy. I cannot stress that enough, right? We already talked about grounding things into a structured physical reality, right? This energy is going to be really good for that, for taking our goals and our dreams and our ideas and grounding them into a new structured physical reality. Like we've been wanting, right? Humans are going to evolve. We're going to start changing. We're going to start adjusting things to work better for us, for everyone. But in doing that, again, this energy is very boundary pushing. It's going to push you to your limits. It's going to make you figure out on a personal and a large societal level, like, what am I comfortable with? How far am I willing to go? Right? Like, what are my values? Where's my integrity lie on the scale? Like, what am I willing to do for this dream? How, those are the kinds of things that are going to come up. This energy Aries is very good at, like, I was going to say forcing, but forcing's not the right word. I guess empowering, inspiring. This Aries energy is very good at inspiring you to show up for yourself. To show up for yourself when nobody else shows up. If nobody else buys into this dream, but deep down inside, you're supposed to follow this dream and try to do it, then show up for yourself and do it. Right? Don't let anyone stop you. This energy is also very much like, don't take no for an answer. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to have tenacity. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep learning, right? Because nothing in life happens without failure, right? Nothing. And failure and success, one is not better than the other. Like in the spiritual realm of growth, failure and success are on the same level because you learn from both of them, right? One is not better than the other. Failing isn't horrible, worth less points, while succeeding is way up here, worth more points. That's human thinking. It's all the same, right? And your nervous system has to learn how to hold success and failure, right? Like, we have to be always prepared for both sides of that sword, right? This energy is amazing. It's a time to bet on yourself. It's a time to be empowered. It's a time to believe in your dreams and act and set goals. But it's also a time to pause, be reflective, and do your action with strategy. Okay? Because if you don't do it with strategy, you're going to end up driving yourself into that wall. And then you're going to have the failure lesson, which is fine. Because, listen, I can't tell you that the number of times I've had to have I've chosen the failure lesson over the success lesson. And that's just because I was not ready. My nervous system, my body, my psyche, I was not ready for the success that was meant to come, right? So I had to keep running into the wall to learn to get strong enough to hold the success, right? So you have to know and expect that in life you're going to have to hold both of those things, success and failure. And to push back, you can't have one without the other, right? To push boundaries, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. So it's going to make things uncomfortable. Again, for both you personally and for the world. So we have to remember that everything we're going through and the energies we talk about, we're going through on our own personal level and then on a collective global level as a whole. And we're affected by all of it. So that's why it's important that we do this work. That's why it's important that we meditate, we journal, we ask ourselves the hard questions like, is this something I'm feeling? Or is this just like a collective thing that's weighing heavily on me? Or is this actually my issue? Or is it my best friend's issue that I've attached to, right? Let's see. Okay, we're about 30 minutes in, so I'm going to wrap up. Let me just go through my notes and see what I missed, if I missed anything. Because the funny thing is I channel it and I write it down, and then usually I don't even really check my notes, because once I've written it down, it just keeps like regurgitating and I can say it again. But sometimes I forget, right? Okay, pushing boundaries. Pushing boundaries takes adjustment. We talked about that. Show up for yourself. Okay, Aries energy is also about like leadership, taking initiative, right? So like I was saying, if you can't find other people to help you produce whatever this dream is, you may have to start producing it on your own. And then as other people see it coming to fruition and they see your idea, like it's no longer a fantasy, right? They see it starting to materialize into reality, then you'll attract the people that want to help you produce it, right? So again, I wrote, be warned, you could get caught up. Aries energy can also be rash and impulsive, right? We've already kind of talked about that a little bit. This new energy coming in with the spring equinox is going to help us, though, slow down a little bit. We need to slow down and strategize. We need to stop and be patient with ourselves and others. If we feel like we're getting swept up into this like ram into the wall fire energy, be patient, lean into patience, right? Stop, pause, do some breathing, calm your body down and your nervous system down. A way to tell if you've been swept up is like you start obsessing on something. You can't let something go. You're like, I have to figure out this idea. I have to figure it out right now. You start like, making lists and then like coming up with scenarios like, what if this happens, then this happens, then this would happen, and then I could make this much money. Or if I charge this much, right? If you're just spinning and spinning, that's how you know you've been caught up. And that's when you need to stop, take a pause, take a breath. Okay. We talked about don't take no for an answer. Aries energy is about leadership, initiative, passion, right? We talked about the spring equinox is about starting fresh, turning a new leaf. So all of this energy together is going to be very intense to move you forward. This is all about like moving forward energy, okay? So like I was saying earlier about pushing boundaries, this is a really good time to start asking yourself the hard questions. Who do I need to be in order to make my dream ground into reality, right? Like, how do I have to show up, right? Like, let's just say, well, we'll just use me as an example, right? I had a dream to work for myself. I've been doing it now for 25 years, which is hard to believe, crazy. Anyway, but in the beginning, it was not all that easy, right? And I didn't always have the confidence, and like there would be times I'd have to go into these like rooms and do these big presentations in front of all these like corporate people to try to get projects for my company, right? Because you can't have a business without money coming in to pay the bills and to pay the people helping you and to pay yourself, right? And that can be a lot of pressure. And like I said earlier, I ran into the wall multiple times and failed multiple times and had to back up and revamp and rethink. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I'm a double fire sign. And I didn't want anyone to tell me anything. I was going to figure it out on my own, right? Which was not strategic. It was not pausing to breathe and strategize, right? And I look back now, like, yes, I made it, but there were a lot of times I wouldn't have made it. If I didn't show up for myself and have tenacity and have that Aries passion and leadership energy behind me, there were a lot of times I just wanted to quit and I just wanted to curl up into a ball and be like, I can't do it, right? And I knew I could not do that though. If there were other people depending on me for paychecks, and like at the time I was married, so I had a husband who depended on me for my share of things, right? Because we both contributed to our life. So I had to be I couldn't just curl up in a ball, right? And so that's why but I also had depression. So that's why I had to start going to therapy and working on my depression, because I had to figure out, like, who do I need to be to have this dream? I need to be confident. I need to be a leader. I need to be unfazed by big challenges or obstacles, right? Because when you have other people depending on you, you can't fall apart when things get hard and stressful, because they're all looking to you to lead, right? So that's what I talk about, how, like, I wasn't ready. There were years that I was learning, and so I was not yet ready to hold the success that I have now, because I was not ready, and emotionally I couldn't have taken it, and I would have curled up in a ball and locked myself into the bathroom crying, right? And you cannot do that when you're trying to lead a project and trying to produce and materialize things for people, as a creative, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I had to sit down and ask myself, like, how serious am I about this dream? How bad do I really want it? And then once I decided that I really did want it, then I had to figure out, well, okay, who do I need to be to have that dream? And how do I need to show up in the world? And how do I get from here to there so that I can get to this dream, right? And that's when I had to start facing myself, facing my depression, going to therapy, getting a healthier wellness routine. Like, I had to be self-reflective. I had to ask myself the hard, scary questions to clear my fears out, so that when others were looking to me to be a leader, I was there and could step in and lead, right? And I didn't get knocked down by the fact that, this is just, universe, this is just for demonstrative purposes. I am not trying to invite this energy in any way, okay? But I had an instance early in my business where I had a lawyer client, and she was a little intense, to put it mildly, and she and I had a disagreement, and then she sued me for all of the money she had ever spent with me. And I had to be able to deal with that, right? And show up every day and still work for my other clients. And I couldn't let that consume. Let me tell you, those were some big lessons during that whole year and a half that was happening, because those were some big, big lessons. I had to dig down deep. I had to face some fears and deal with some things, just so that I could show up every day and not be a scared to death mess, because I was scared to death. Like, what if she wins? What if I have to give her all this money back? Like, right? So that's what I'm talking about here. Like, this energy is excellent for us to ground our dreams and make them into a physical reality and materialize what it is we've always wanted. But first, we have to figure out what that is, articulate it to the universe, and then put a plan in motion, right? You can't just one day be like, I'm going to work for myself and I'm starting right now, right? There has to be a plan. Like, I had to work a job I hated for a couple of years, and then I would come home every night and work on my business and clients for my business so that I could get enough work that I could leave my job, because I had bills and responsibilities. I couldn't just be like, I'm quitting everything because I'm going to work for myself. Like, that would have been a disaster, right? So I had to do it with strategy. I had to put it to paper, commit to it, create a structure, create a plan. I also had to stay loose enough to be adaptable. Because trust me, the plan I had 25 years ago was not at all what I'm doing now or what it turned out to be. And that's all for the better, right? Like, I'm so much happier now where I'm at and the work I'm doing and the clients I have than what the original plan was, right? And that's because I had to adapt and change. And as the world changed, I had to And as I changed and grew, the things I really wanted and needed changed and grew, right? So I had to be adaptable. I had to be flexible. I had to go with the flow while keeping my eye on the prize at the end, right? So it's like you have to keep some structure and action, but you also have to not hold on too tightly, because holding on too tightly will repel any kind of success or money or anything, right? It's almost like I used to have, well, I have a friend. She used to always say, it's like crushing a butterfly to death, right? You have to know how to gently hold the butterfly so you do not crush it to death, right? And it's kind of the same way with like your dreams and your goals. If you hold on too tightly, you will smother them and you will make it a misery for yourself and everyone around you. If you hold on loosely and you stay adaptable and you stay gentle and you stay in your heart space, it's a lot less traumatizing. And again, trust me on that. Like I said, I ran myself into a wall. Now in hindsight, I look back a lot of the times because I did it. They were my choices. And I deliberately was stubborn and was like, no, I'm doing it like this. And then I had to run myself into the wall to then be like, oh, that's what they were trying to say, that this wasn't going to work this way, right? And some people have to learn that way. I'm one of those people. I have to learn by doing. You can tell me 100 times. I have to learn for myself. So that's why, again, it's important that you don't beat yourself up for the mistakes and the failures, because without all of those times I face planted into the wall, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, which is a great, happy place. Successful, happy, abundant place. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Remind yourself, look at this. Remind yourself that good things take time. Be patient. Be open to the changes it will take to take advantage of the new opportunities and interests that are presenting themselves to you in this new energy. Okay? Again, that goes to what I was just saying about not holding on too tight, not being too rigid and structured, but being structured enough that things are still moving forward, right? Yes, because once you decide, I said, it's time to ask yourself, who do I need to be to get this dream a reality? How do I need to show up? Who do I need to be, right? And whatever that is, I need to be courageous. I need to be brave, right? I need to be a leader. I need to be not afraid to fail and make mistakes, right? Those were all the things I needed to become, to be where I'm at now. And, I'm talking 25 years here, right? It was a work in progress. I did not just wake up one day and I'm like, okay, I have all these things, right? Now let's go. It's a work in progress. It was all going together in a parallel line through my life. And because I was doing the work and going to therapy and asking myself the hard questions, I grew, and it all grew together, right? And so now I have like stability and balance in my dream and in my like psyche and mental health, right? But that took years of work, and that's why you cannot put so much weight into the mistakes and the failures, because really that is where you learn the most. And without those things, I couldn't have become this, right? Like, to work on the things I needed to work on to be those qualities I needed to be to have my dream, I won as well, right? Because I was growing and learning and changing, and now I'm somebody who has courage, who's a leader, right? So, once you start getting on that path, things in your life will attract you that start aligning with who you decided you wanted to be and how you wanted to show up, right? When you're all wishy-washy about like what you want out of life and who you want to be, you get a lot of chaos in your life. And again, I speak from experience, right? In my 20s, I didn't know who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be, what my, goals and dreams were. I just knew I wanted to get out of my small little farm town, right? Past that, I really had no idea. And then when people would ask me, I would say things that I thought that I wanted because, so it takes getting to know yourself on a deep level. It takes tripping and falling and figuring things out, right? And that's why we have to be easy on ourselves. As long as we're doing the work and we're moving forward and we're committed to that and we're not running away from ourselves and our problems, things will attract to you that are in alignment with who you want to be. When you start running away from yourself, avoiding your issues, distracting yourself, like that's called aversion. When you start like distracting yourself with drugs, alcohol, whatever, eating, working out, like people use all kinds of things for distraction, right? Sex. That's when you start to attract more chaos to you because you're not taking steps to be the best version of yourself. And that's why we're all here, right? And so if you find yourself in super chaos, spinning and never really growing or moving forward or getting what it is you want, you might ask yourself, is it because I have not really defined who I am and what I want, right? Sometimes if you're wishy-washy about it, all you do is attract chaos because you're sending a message to the universe that I don't know, so I need a ton of different experiences to figure out what it is I want and who I am, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, done with the notes. Let's pull some cards, and then we're going to read from this book. Yeah, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so first off, we're going to pull from this Divine Beloved because, like I said, they really wanted to come out earlier. And yep, our mystic cat is still down at my feet. So what is it we need to know about this new moon? No. Okay. New moon, spring, equinox energy. What is it we need to know for the rest of the month? New moon, spring, equinox energy. New moon in Aries. Interesting. This whole deck has, I can see as I'm shuffling through it, lots of animals. Anything else? Because they're saying only the bottom two. Okay. I can see there's lots of, so nature is very much presenting itself. I can see now why they wanted the swan shirt and these cards. Anything else from this deck? There it is. The funny thing is I heard one more. All right. Oops. Okay. No, it says no. That was my mistake. All right. We have first clarity. Clarity is my birthright. Change me into one who remembers in every moment my true self. Love, light, wisdom, and divinity. Clarity. This is what I was just talking about, right? We need to be clear on who do I need to be to go accomplish and ground these dreams into reality. What do I have to do to get there, right? This is what we're talking about. Clarity. Clarity is my birthright, right? Change me into one who remembers in every moment my true self, right? Sit with your intuition, I'm hearing. Sit with my intuition. I'm also noticing how the New Moon in Aries card has this reddish energy. This clarity card, also reddish energy, all right? We're looking at here, I can tell you, root chakra and sacral chakra, which are where, like, who we are, our safety, our security, our passions, our creativity, all comes from those two chakras, okay? Also, the sacral chakra is the seed of our emotions. A lot of people don't realize that, but it is. Which then brings me to this card, which is also in that same color scheme, creativity, okay? I honor my passion, which is what we've been talking about, right? Figure it out, clarity. and then honor it. All right? Change me into one who honors my deepest creative passions and needs. Help me value the talents you have given, both known and unknown. All right, now one more card came out. What were we talking about earlier? There's a flip side, right? There's always two sides to everything. There's always a shadow element, right? These are great advice cards on what we're supposed to be doing during this new moon. Finding clarity on who we are, who we want to be. Fueling our passions, our creativity, okay? The next card that came out is something that could hold us back from all of that. Fear, okay? So in asking yourself these hard questions we've been talking about, in doing this work, fear will come up. You can guarantee it, right? What was I saying to you earlier? There's no, there's benefits to both, right? So the fear, you're not going to be able to have these things without the fears coming up. It's just going to happen. We just need to accept it. We need to figure out, how do we hold the fear? How do we hold the fear so it does not control us and it does not block us from having this, right? This says, fear, I release all fear. I invite you to move through me in all ways, guiding my actions in every moment. Let me release all fear and feel unbridled openness to the new. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. These cards are so accurate. Okay, now we're going to pull from the Secret Woods. Okay, I've only used these cards a few times. I love them so far. They were also gifted to us over the holidays. Okay, what is it we need to know about this full moon in Aries, spring equinox energy? What is it we need to know? Whoa, okay. Just this top one they said, which is catalyst. We'll look at it in a minute. All right. And I'm laughing because the Aries moon, right? All of this fire. Look at this. Catalyst. Keep your fires burning. Oh my gosh, you cannot make this up. I love it. Okay, we will read about the cards. Let me just see. Anything else we need? Is there anything else we need to know about this spring equinox, full moon? I'm sorry, new moon. New moon in Aries. Oh. Okay, one flew up and this one. Okay. I see. Okay. So, remember, this card came out, Recluse. It says recharge your soul. Okay, remember we were talking about all the Pisces energy. That's what we've been doing, right? So this is what it's saying here. We're moving out of the recluse, recharge your soul, gather all the information, feel all the feelings, right? We're moving from this new moon, spring equinox is the catalyst, okay? It's the catalyst to us becoming the sorcerer, okay? So we need to get clarity. I mean, I think the messages are pretty clear. I'm going to pull some crystal cards and then we're going to be done because the messages are very, very clear, right? They're telling me read the catalyst card. Okay. So, but this is all very clear to me. This new moon is bringing in energy that is going to bring up some fear, right? But that's okay because this fear... Okay, I got it. So, this fear will be the catalyst to us becoming like this magical, look at this magical being who is a chicken, I believe. Chicken or an eagle, maybe. Seems like an eagle. Which is a bird, and I'm wearing a swan, right? But look at him. He's like so it's all crazy. The energy fire back here, right, is like fueling him playing the violin. The energy from the fire volcano back here is the actual bow that he's using to play this violin, which then creates magic that creates all these flowers and growth and abundance. Okay? So we're just reminded that when the fear comes, we need to do the work, right? Because if we do the work and we face the fear, that is a catalyst to us getting so clear on who we are, what our passions are, what we want out of life, who we want to show up as, and then we can become that person if we do the work. Okay? It's done. This is what I'm hearing about this. This hazy, wintry, gather back in to recharge and feel is over. Okay? Let's read this catalyst card because that's what they're telling me to read. There it is. I mean, and again, keep your fires burning. You just cannot make this stuff up. Okay? The catalyst sits on the hill among the herb known as St. John's wort, where he generates the elements of heat and fire to combat the dark clouds. He cannot be extinguished by a torrential downpour. Okay? He generates the elements of heat, of fire to combat the dark storms. Okay? And you see how all these other cards are orange and bright and passionate and vibrant. And this guy here, fear, is the same color as the storm cloud that he's burning off. I mean, you guys, the imagery. Amazing. Okay. Sadness is a guest that wants our acknowledgement. Don't ignore it. Sit with this. Sit with it and assure it that you will take the time to listen. Okay? So this is telling me, change the word sadness to fear. Okay? So our fears are a great guest that wants our acknowledgement. Don't ignore it. Sit with it and assure your fears that you will take the time to listen. They will never totally leave your life, but they will bother you less intensely. Close your eyes and face a light source such as the sun or a candle. Feel the immediate energy and warmth fill your spirit. If it is rainy and cloudy outside, brew a tasty pot of St. John's wort tea. The herb has the power to drive the blues away. Surround yourself with people who keep a positive outlook. Soon you will feel it influence you. Okay? So this is basically saying, if you're having trouble getting out of this like recluse, contracted, fearful energy, reach out to people around you. Surround yourself with positivity. Get clarity on who you are, what your dreams are, what your passions are, who you want to be, how you want to show up, and do what? Take action. Yay! Okay. Now, let's pull a couple crystal cards, and then we're going to read the magic days, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. So, we're going to pull a couple crystal cards. Are there any crystals that will help us, particularly with what we've been talking about? Let's see. Any crystals for this new moon, spring equinox? Any crystals for the new... Whoa. Okay. Ruby. Anything else? Ruby. That's my birthstone. You, only more so, it says. So this, again, is all about being who you are, showing up for yourself, betting on yourself, getting clear. Okay, on the floor. Let me get it, because it slid right out of the deck onto the floor. Green fluorite. Is this mine? Okay, so that's talking about earlier. What we were saying is when things are coming up, sitting with yourself, journaling, asking yourself the hard questions to figure out, is this yours? Is this my best friend's? Is this my mother's? Is this the collective's, right? There are times I feel collective energy. Like, for example, around the holidays, a lot of people were feeling very stressed about money. And I kept feeling that. I kept getting all this fear of like, oh my God, don't buy that. Don't spend that money. Even though I was okay, right? And I wasn't having those worries. And I kept thinking to myself, where is this coming from? And so I sat down and I was like, is there something deep down inside? Is my intuition trying to tell me like something's coming that I'm going to need to save money for? And so I meditated on it, and it was the collective energy, right? It was that there were a lot of people in the collective worried about money around the holidays and around the end of the year. And so I kept, because I am empathetic, I kept picking that up. And then for a minute, I was confused. Is this mine? Is this someone else's, right? That's why we have to do this work. That's why we have to sit down, ask ourselves the hard questions. Sometimes if you're new to this work and you're new to like hearing your own intuition and messages, a good thing to do is just like sit quietly for 10 minutes, breathe, light some candles, put on some sound bath, right? Spray some essential oils, breathe, just sit quietly, get in touch with yourself. Anytime there are racing thoughts or anything, just try to let them pass through your mind without attaching to any of them. And then when you feel still, you can say out loud, whatever the question is, why is this money issue coming up for me? And then you can just start writing. Don't think, just write. Automatic writing, usually the answer will come out. Also, if you sit quietly, the answer will come, right? So that's why it's important we do this, because we can go on through life all stressed out thinking we're having a fear come up, and it's not always our fear, right? It might be the fear of somebody around us. 9 times out of 10, also, though, it can be your fear. So let's also remember that. But if it's not resonating with you, whatever it is coming up and it's not resonating, you're like, what is happening, right? Like sometimes it takes a couple days, and then all of a sudden you'll get clarity, like, oh, this is not mine, this is so-and-so's, or oh, I'm attached. Like, you can do that too. If you like care about somebody and they're struggling with something, you can actually attach yourself to their issue and then bring it into your own aura and issues, right? So that's why you want to be very careful, and that's why you also want to sit down and figure out, is this mine, is this someone else's? If it's someone else's, you can release it. You can say, this is not my issue. I'm no longer going to attach to this issue. I will support them and be here for them, but I do not need to attach to the outcome of their whatever it is, right? Okay, so we got ruby, green fluorite. The cards, I think, speak for themselves. The last thing we're going to do, we're going to read out of this Magic Days book. We're going to read March 21st, the new moon. Okay. Welcome to March 21st. A heartfelt journey towards unconditional love. Mark the first day of the fiery Aries season, devotion. Devotion, the number 6, invites you to cool your passions and act from a place of complete sincerity. Whatever you do today, help others and do it from the heart. What is your soul calling you to be of service to? Big or small, put compassion on the top of your to-do list as you work to make the world a better place. And make sure to pat yourself on the back throughout the day. Confidence invites you to feel good about the work you are doing and the person you are becoming. If public or interpersonal recognition comes your way in the form of a compliment or accolade, accept the honor with humble pride and know that you deserve it. Besides, there is no better time to fall in love with yourself. Choice asks you to accept the adoration and connection from those around you by first and foremost internalizing how worthy you are of receiving it. Treat yourself today and every day as you would someone you love, knowing that the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. Okay, that's brilliant. And that really supports what I was saying earlier about show up for yourself, right? Be in your own corner, right? Okay, it says, today's mantra: I am worthy of receiving the kind of love I give to others. That's a good one. What is the one thing, big or small, about myself that I find lovable? That's a journal prompt. It's a good question to ask yourself during this new moon. What is one thing, big or small, about myself that I find lovable? Okay? And then it says, today's ritual: use the power of turquoise to help you channel your confidence. If you have a piece of turquoise jewelry or a piece of clothing that is the color of turquoise, adorn yourself with it as you go about your day. All right. Brilliant, as always. Thank you, Nadine, Jane. And thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. It always helps me. Thank you for showing up. Have a good rest of your day, weekend, week, whatever it is, night, morning. Sending you lots of love and light. Namaste.